This video is sponsored by Renaissance Bank, the best bank in the South. Check them out online at renaissancernation.com. Hey, what's up? Matt Wyatt here. Time to take a look at the big game from last week. A huge game. One of the biggest games every year in the country, certainly this year. Alabama versus LSU, this one in Tuscaloosa. Let's look at some of the plays. These are first half plays. And what I felt is that, yes, given everything Alabama did in the second half of that game to give themselves a chance, I still feel like the game was won and lost with those 33 points in the first half and the 2 turnovers by Alabama, both involving Tua Tagovailoa, 1 a fumble, 1 interception. I just felt like that was the key, that overwhelming first half, too much, ultimately, for Alabama to overcome against a really good team. Let's take a look. Okay, here's the fumble play to start the game on third down. That started the momentum in LSU's direction. You got slants all over the field out of empty. And, of course, he kind of got squeezed, decided to escape. Wasn't going to get it on third down, then fumbles the football. There was a couple of things I thought we would look at here. And one is the call. I'm watching this game, and when I saw it live, I commented about this with my family as we were watching it, that, you know, on third and goal, they go empty down here. So there's nobody in the backfield. There's really no threat of the run other than a quarterback draw. But because he's hurt, and everybody knows it, and he's coming off this ankle, when you get empty down here on a third down, they don't have to respect defensively the possibility that this may be quarterback draw. And if you're an Alabama fan and you think about, you know, this formation, say when Jalen Hurts was there as your QB, you're always going to have guys looking, peeking into the backfield or lining up in the middle, which opens things up just numbers-wise out here for these slants. But because you got a hurt ankle, LSU on the empty formation, they're bracketing the slant here, they're bracketing the slant here, and totally not even thinking about the possibility or worried about the possibility of run. So I didn't like the call because with a bad ankle of Tua, it really gives an advantage on third down to the defense in their coverage. So what starts this being a busted play is a miss in the protection. It's just a 4-man rush and the miss by the right guard. He lets penetration come through into the face of the quarterback, and that's going to disrupt anything. The other thing is Tua is reading to the 3-receiver side, looking for a slant here, or third man inside, which is probably going to be his best chance. You got slants all over the place. But look, again, LSU is kind of blowing and clogging this thing up because they're bracketing the inside slant and just leaving the middle of the field alone because they know that quarterback's not running the ball right there. If Tua had read to the short side of the field, you're going to see that he would throw right here to 6 on a slant and give him a chance. So the open slant's there. If he reads it and gets it to him on time, you got Delpit 7 who's going to come in and try to tackle him short of the goal line. But he's reading field side, and if he'd had time, this is going to kind of clear, and I think the outside receiver is going to come underneath to give him an opportunity, but he doesn't have time because right guard misses in protection. He feels it in his face. Any quarterback, pressure to the outside, you're going to step up and read the play. When you get pressure on the inside, you're going to feel it and feel like you have to leave. So as you wind it a little further, you look here. There's a slant that's initially open into the boundary. You could see it was going to be a goal line play with the safety coming in. If he'd stood in the pocket and delivers the ball here, you got a chance for, you know, a catch and a score, but instead he's trying to escape. And he's just trying to switch it into his right hand and loses a hold of the football. And so that turnover on third down, early in the game, first series, but you still knew that felt like a huge momentum play. So one more thing about that. What I mean by the call is because Tua Tagovailoa was hurt, LSU on that call, empty on third down on the goal line effectively, LSU didn't have to really respect the idea that he may run the football. Therefore, it widened their defense, and they focused on the old classic slant routes that they like to throw on the goal line. And just that difference in the look of where the defenders were when Tua snapped the ball and a little bit of pressure forced him to escape. And that's what eventually led to the fumble. LSU on their drive, they go empty. He goes into the short side, sort of like a wheel route off of a pick, a rub route, and a completion. So they actually have a couple of ways to make the first down. It's 2nd and 3. And if you were to watch the route here to the wide side of the field from the 2 inside receivers, The third receiver inside is going to release across the face of the number 2, and he's going to come underneath and just run a slant right here and try to find a throwing lane so that you can make the 2 yards and get a first down. You'll see that come open. So if he had chosen to read the wide side of the field to his right, he's going to throw that slant right there, complete it. You break a tackle, could be a big play, but at least you're going to catch it for a first down. But what he chooses is the boundary. And here's what I think you're getting and why he chose to go into the boundary. He has, a 4-man front, effectively a 4-man front. And on the pre-snap, they have 2 high safeties in the middle of the field. Now, one is splitting the hashes and one is off that left hash, so it's a little unusual. And you see that, you think they're probably going to rotate. But I think the read is even simpler than that. And that's because this is Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the running back, lined up wide left outside the numbers. And so the defender who lines up across from him, in front of him, is a linebacker wearing number 30-something. He's linebacker personnel. It's not a corner who normally plays out there on the sideline on the numbers. So because it's not a corner and instead the linebacker has removed and lined up across from the running back, it's a pretty clear indication that they're trying to play some type of man-to-man into that side of the field, right? Because that would be man-to-man personnel. And on the inside receiver, you have a defensive back who is playing bump man coverage on him. So I think pre-snap, as soon as he lines up and sees that you've got a linebacker over the running back, he knows I'm going over here and going to read this man-to-man, because what is called is rub route with the running back coming inside to give the release you want on the deep route, and that's exactly what they get. So you're getting the rub there to give your inside receiver a release. You know it's man-to-man, so the linebacker is going to run inside to take the running back. When he runs inside, now I free release, and I've beat him. Now, the only thing you have to beat with the throw is the safety who lined up off the hash coming over. Can you get it in there before he can make a play? And so it's not poor defense. The corner's trying to cover as best he can. The safety's coming over to squeeze this in the sideline and make a play. It is a really tight window that Joe Burrow fits the football in. Outstanding throw and catch. It just doesn't get any better. That's a really good look at, I'm running a route and I'm sort of initiating contact. This defender is going to remove, but it really gives one a free release up the left sideline. And that gives you a look at full speed safety coming in. The ball gets there just in time. Excellent throw and catch. All right, here you go. 3 verticals on 1st and 10 against. They give him a too high look. It's really a single high safety. Little play fake, hold him with his eyes, and receiver makes a play on the ball. Schematically, it's not complicated. There's not a whole lot going on. You've got 4 receivers, 2 by 2, with a back in the backfield next to the quarterback. And what I mentioned is they kind of give him a too high look, but every snap, you've got one kind of floating back to the middle of the field. And what it looks like to me is they are trying to, with a 4-man front, bring 4, potentially bring 5 and play man-to-man. Tight end is going to release across, and he actually gets left alone in this responsibility a little bit. So Alabama is rushing 5. When the back releases, linebacker's going to leave to go cover him. Tight end's going to come across and get open. If you gave him the football, you got a chance. But if you notice something here, pre-snap, you've seen hard corners on both outside receivers. And I just think that pre-snap, knowing the play, Burrow has already chosen, this is my one-on-one, and I'm going to take it and give it a chance. I'm just going to make the throw. So on the snap, play fake here to, bring people up, and his eyes are on this side of the field, either there or looking at the safety, because he knows, this high safety is really the only one who might have a chance to get over there. I'm going to hold him with my eyes for a minute. Looking that way, it's just kind of what you're taught to do. Now he flips his head, find that one-on-one, and put it on him. And it's sort of like a back shoulder. He's putting it up high and behind. Trust your guy to make a play on the football in the air. It's not poor coverage. I see 7 for Alabama doing his best to turn his head at the right time and find the ball. And it's just he's full speed, and because the receiver knows where the ball is and the DB doesn't, receiver has the advantage. Now, this was on a key scoring drive, and it's an example of missed tackles one-on-one in the open field. Here you get 3-by-1, the back releases, and he completes it. That's a linebacker who can't put on the brakes, tackle a running back. So a running back makes a guy miss for a first down. Very next play, fake the toss, throw it underneath, and make a play on a safety. This is receiver on a safety. One-on-one miss in the open field. Okay, here's a busted coverage for a touchdown. LSU lines up with bunch over here, and if you look at and it's 3-by-1 with a bunch because there is somebody in the backfield. It's just not running back personnel. It's a receiver. So there may be some confusion already. Alabama on this 3rd and 2 gives them a 4-man front, but everybody else is here at the line of scrimmage. There's nobody back there. Clear indication there's all man-to-man responsibilities unless they bail out of this thing somehow. The other indication of man-to-man is when the running back motions across, 21 goes with him step for step. If it were zone, he'd stay. They'd pass it off somehow. But because he's going across, another clear indication, you've got some type of man-on-man, find your guy responsibilities. So on the snap, the receiver who's lined up in the backfield is going to release, and it draws the attention of 3 Alabama defenders to that side. And somebody does not pick up their man-to-man responsibility right there of that second inside receiver. So there you see, 3 defenders have all taken the back effectively out of the backfield and looking back at the quarterback to find a football. And here's the guy who is uncovered in the route deep for a touchdown. Burrow finds him, and great quarterbacks don't miss your mistakes. They find your mistakes. Just another angle of it here. You can kind of see what's going on. Again, there's just some confusion because technically I think in the call you've got a man-to-man call right here, the corner on that receiver, but he's not in his pocket. So really LSU gets 2 guys open, just one for touchdown. You can see it's man there, man there. Somebody thinks I've got the back, but they are terribly confused, and I think it all started with the formation, the back in the bunch who motioned across, and it just got them confused pre-snap. He's taking the right one open. You actually got another who's open for a big play. So busted coverage for Alabama, and you don't see that often. You also, on a cold day in the South, don't see it often, a guy with his shirt off celebrating in the stands. You have to admit, this is the kind of guy who his friends constantly probably have to tell him to calm down and to be quiet, right? Here's a 3rd and 10 for Alabama. And excellent double move route in the slot to get open for a big play and big conversion on 3rd and 10. And, one thing about this, these good teams do such a great job of disguising coverage and kind of comboing coverage. And again, this is LSU doing a lot of what Alabama does is pre-snap, show you 2 high safeties as a quarterback. That's what it looks like. But you have one who's going to rotate back to the middle, another who's going to come down because you're bringing a linebacker as a 5th rusher against 3rd and 10. You got man-to-man underneath and some route matching with the guy going back to the middle of the field. So there's a lot of cushion right here, and it's a good read. The back and the tight end stay in, but they're only checking and releasing later into the route. And this is one of those where it's a bit of a blown coverage for LSU because tight end became uncovered. Because he initially blocked and released, nobody picked him up. You could throw to him for a lot of yards and a first down. And then, of course, here, the runoff against man-to-man on the outside kind of opened that up, and you got a guy in the slot, like a nickel in the slot, who just isn't capable of covering him one-on-one. And once you give a QB time, it's a big play. Here's a touchdown up top, and it's a tiny little bit of a trick play, and I'll show you what I mean. You get the dummy snap. They look to the sideline, snap it when the defense isn't ready, so it allows a receiver to get that release and beat him up the sideline. And you saw the corner react and look at his own sideline. If you were watching that on television, he's kind of like, hey, y'all have got me alone. But it was by design, totally intentional on the part of Alabama's offense. So start with looking at the quarterback. He does what everybody does in college football. Give a dummy snap, clap the hands. You don't get them off sides. And now I'm going to look over here at the sideline and get the play call, right? Everybody does this. So watch him step forward and relax and look at the receiver up top. He relaxes, he comes out of his stance. And it indicates when that happens to the defense, okay, this is our chance to make sure we are going to stay with our call. So quarterback is looking at the sideline. Watch Tua right here. And again, receivers relaxed as well. And you can see the corner who's in man-to-man is even looking into the backfield at this moment, not looking at his receiver. But keep your eyes on Tua, the quarterback. He's going to be out of his stance. He's going to be looking at the sideline and actually snap the ball, call for the snap of the ball on purpose while he's looking at the sideline. See that? He hasn't gotten set again, and now he's giving the indication to the center. And the other thing is the receiver intentionally hasn't come out of his relaxed stance either. He's going to take off from that position. And now as he has snapped the ball, quarterback has snapped the ball, you got a corner who's looking into the sideline. So it's very intentional in their part, and they get exactly what they want. Incredible scouting work from Alabama to know when and how they can do this. Again, the moment that the receiver relaxes for the check with me, corner turns his head and looks into the sideline, and they're going to take off from that stance and beat him up the sideline. So again, totally intentional on the part of Alabama, and it works. Now you have to admit that's really clever, and as much checking at the line that now not offenses but defenses are doing, looking back at the sideline because of what offenses are doing. He knew it was just a matter of time before teams start to take advantage of that. And, hats off to Alabama and their legion of analysts and somebody finding that in the film study and knowing when to use it in the ballgame. Here's a 2nd and 10 for LSU. They go empty. They're going to run that curl route in the middle of the field, in front of a safety, behind a linebacker, 4-man rush, complete for a first down. So several things about how they get it done. I mentioned it's empty. That's the running back out wide. And again, they're matching the running back route with the linebacker. What's interesting about it is they're doing that into the boundary, but it just kind of removes a linebacker as they really try to jump into a cover 3 zone. And I'll show you what I mean by that. On the snap of the ball, the field safety, meaning the one here to the far side of the field, is dropping back into the hash, and the near safety is going to come up. And you're getting a drop corner on that side too. So it's kind of like a cover 3 look to the wide side of the field. And what's important here is with the receiver running that curl route, he's got to find the throwing lane in the middle of the field and get past the stick for a first down. But they give the underneath option as well to either hold defenders underneath to help with the throwing lane or to get him open if they drop. So because of this route here, that pulls that underneath defender in the middle. And remember, you've already got another linebacker in the formation removed because of empty. So it kind of clears that throwing lane in here to that curl. Now he's just got to get curled in front of that safety. And they get it done. So good design, and they are executing things. Alabama's running a couple of curl routes past the sticks here. Out of 4 wide receivers, 3 to the wide side, single receiver into the short side over there, into the boundary. Puts his eyes to the field, comes back, but doesn't see the linebacker, throws it right to him. And again, what's interesting about this is it's a little unorthodox. So it's, with 23 seconds left in the hash, you look at the way LSU has lined up. They're kind of matching it to the far side of the field. And everywhere else, it looks like a zone coverage with a 4-man rush. If you look at the positions of the safeties, one's in the middle, and there's another one so deep that he's off the screen to begin this play. So they're really just trying to protect against the clock and make sure you complete the ball underneath. So if you'll notice, on the snap, he puts his eyes to the wide side of the field. And here's that middle linebacker who's going to drop in that coverage. And when he drops, it's because there's a release to his outside. As soon as this receiver runs vertical, again, because situationally it's 1st and 10 just before halftime, they are willing to give up underneath completions over here, either on the sideline or underneath. And so as soon as this release happens, he begins to drop. I'm trying to, defend against the home run right here. At the same time, those safeties who were deep and in the middle of the field kind of stay there. So quarterback's thinking, I'm about to get this curl route right here. He's flipping his head back around to find it. And that's when he kind of loses sight of this. Normal coverage, this middle linebacker is probably going to run with this underneath crosser right here. But he doesn't. He leaves it alone. He gives it to him and says, if you want to throw it there, throw it there. He's dropping back into the lane. And a quarterback, when he turns his head to and never sees him, and just throws it right to him. They gave you a couple different angles, but it's just a mistake. And it's one of those of forcing it, given the situation, forcing it a little bit, trying to make something happen instead of taking what they give you. Again, the safety is way back in the middle. They're going to try to avoid giving up a home run type play for good reason. But again, situationally, they're not going to have normal coverage rules of trying to cover underneath. So outside of his shoulder, now the linebacker is going to drop into the middle of the field, almost like that old, Tampa 2 responsibility. Linebacker drop deep, give them the underneath. Quarterback, though, is going to say, well, I'm going to force this in there, and the linebacker just outplays it. He never sees it, jumps it, and a huge turnover giving them the football. It gave them a first down. They get a first down in here at the 12 with 11 seconds left. But watch the running back here. Okay, so they've got the snug formation everywhere else, but line the running back up out wide. So watch this whole sequence. When a running back goes into the backfield, motions back in there, it brings the linebacker back into the middle. And so now they're going to involve the running back in a 3-man route on that side now that they've brought the linebacker back in. So they're just creating matchups. They're creating matchups, kind of putting the defense where they want them and then running where they want to run things. Because we've seen this matchup with this linebacker lined up out wide with the running back all day long. Now they've done the opposite here and brought him into the backfield on 1st and 10 with 11 seconds left. And so, again, what it does is it puts him in a position to be able to release and have the leverage with the linebacker moving back inside simply because we motioned him to the backfield. And now he's set himself back in the middle. You watch the vertical to that side pulls the corner back into the end zone. That's that cornerback who's trying to turn now. It pulled in the vertical, pulled him into the end zone, but allowed room for that running back to get in there, and it's an excellent throw. Again, 3-man route with a vertical there, and as the corner, he's defending against this route. Safety's inside deep. He's outside deep. He's defending against that deep corner route, which you get a lot down here in the end zone. So he's going to turn and run with him. They go shallow underneath here with the tight end. That pulls a defender out of the way. And again, when it does, linebacker put himself in the middle after they motion the running back in. Just gives him natural leverage to get in that space. And the throw has to be perfect. And it is. You can see defender behind, defender underneath, trailing. If it's off and, running back running a corner route, it's really got to be a perfect throw, and it is. All right, hope you enjoyed that. If you did, let me know about it. I always enjoy hearing from you in the comments below. Also on Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram, I'm Radio Wyatt. So thanks for watching. And feel free, let me know what you think. If I'm off, tell me where I'm wrong. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks to Renaissance Bank for sponsoring these videos. They are the best bank in the South, so y'all check them out at renaissancernation.com. And I'll see you next time. See ya!